saying, welcome, welcome. Say it. Welcome. Come on in. Welcome to the warehouse. I don't know if I moved or not. Yeah? Huh? What's that? Do I have to move? It's easy for me to move than to move the camera because I'm off center. Why not just have me? Yeah. All right. Good to see everybody. Thank Yahweh for his faithfulness. Thank God for everyone making it here safely. A few people we're asking to remember in prayer on this week. Let us remember Morey, Jeremiah, Ty Davis, Yermiah, Ty Davis, and his family. He lost his father on this week, so let's keep him in prayer. He's actually, just keep him and his family in prayer. Also remember Morey Wilkins, Keith Wilkins, and his wife and their family in prayer on this week. Let's remember Deacon Ron and his father in prayer as well, and always. And of course, Sister Alex and Brother Jeremiah and the babies. Let's keep them all in prayer as we are approaching that time, that Yahweh continue to keep them and grant us grace seasoned with salt. He's a faithful king. He's a faithful creator. We thank him. It is he who have made us and not we ourselves. So we are his people and what? Sheep of his pasture, right? And so we thank God for all things. Everybody do that assignment. Isaiah 26. All right. We'll read it a little bit. We'll start in Philippians. We'll read that just to get a context and idea as we go into Philippians. I'm going to, the homework this week is going to be a little different, Yahweh willing. So let's open up with a word of prayer. Father of lights, Elohim of mercy, that which is, that which was, that which is to come. the Almighty, El Shaddai, Elohim of the mountains, Elohim of the valley. He that rideth upon the cloud, exalted high above all, far above all principalities, powers, and might. And any throne, any dominion, any name that is named, any authority in heaven and in earth, any authority under the earth, all is in thine hand to strengthen. All is in thine hand, O righteous one, he that hath redeemed us from the hand of the grave, who have ransomed our soul from death, who have saved us and called us with the holy calling. Blessed be he. You are our strength like no other. We thank you for all things. Thank you for life, health, and strength. Thank you for Ruach HaKodesh. Thank you for the calling and the election that you are helping us to make sure. Thank you for the foundation. Thank you, Eternal Father, for saving us. Thank you for all things. Thank you for translating us into the kingdom of your dear Son. Thank you for begatting us by the word of truth. Thank you, Eternal Father, for calling us out of darkness and into your marvelous light. Thank you, Eternal Father, for allowing us to be partakers of your divine nature. Thank you for granting us an inheritance undefiled and incorruptible. Thank you for all things. Thank you for your holy rest. Thank you for the provisions you made for us and your power and your protection. Thank you for opening our eyes to see you here in the land of the living. We ask for your strength, your wisdom, your guidance, practical understanding. Help us to navigate properly through life, to operate through the unseen. Oh Yahweh, let your power be made manifest in our lives, that we may make right decisions, that we may see the salvation of Yahweh. We can drown out the noise, eliminate so many distractions. We may focus on you in the hope of glory. In you is life, and life more abundantly. Please strengthen us. Let us depart from folly. Let us depart from vain things. Let us not seek them. Let us seek you and your kingdom, your righteousness. For we look for a new heaven and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. Let us hasten for your return and not be fearful of it, that we may be found in wrath in the day of your judgment. But let us be found worthy, Eternal Father, worthy of all acceptance. For whether dead or alive, we just want to be acceptable to you. So let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight. Let us operate in the functioning of a new creation. Let us see what we're supposed to see. Let our hearts be enlightened by Ruach HaKodesh, that we may operating knowing what is good and acceptable and pleasing in our eyesight. Let us, Eternal Father, see, O Yahweh, you believe to see you in the land of the living, that we faint not. And I pray you open our hearts, fill it with your love, for you have caused your love to shed abroad in our hearts. Remember Brother Jeremiah, remember Sister Alex, remember the baby, remember Sister Danietta and the family, remember Sister Dee Dee, Brother Wayne, their family. Y'all remember us here, all of our family, our sons, our daughters. Help us, if at all, to be faithful. We will not inherit your government unless we are faithful. You will make us good. Eternal Father, you've declared you will forgive our sins. You will wash our stained sins and purify us so we are white as snow. But in that, help us to be faithful. Oh Yahweh, be faithful servants. We thank you for all things. In the name of Yeshua, Elohim of the blessed hope, we thank you. And we say, so let it be. Thank Yahweh for all things. Anybody remember why we went to look at Isaiah chapter 26? Anybody know why we went to that? Yes. I got two hands. Two hands, no mics.
Because we were talking about the peace of Elohim.
Right, talking about the peace of Elohim. Very good. And one of the goal of the ministry here, the number one goal is, according to 1 Peter, the salvation of our lives, or the salvation of our souls. Another goal is for us to understand Yahweh's word. Context. I think we had came up, I think, at one time with a formula about context, and I forgot. I don't think we wrote it down. But it's very important we understand context and not use cliches or things we've heard growing up or being around church people or whomever all of our lives. And one thing that we often hear about is he will keep you in perfect peace. It's a beautiful song. Anybody ever heard that song? Yeah, beautiful song. Shout out to Richard Smallwood. I think that's who wrote that song. And we kind of use these words. Well, what is, and we said, he said he will keep you in perfect peace. So what does that mean? And so in saying that, the number one goal is the salvation of our souls. Well, one primary goal is for us to believe the word and what? Not what we heard. And we've heard things all our lives, but we don't know in what way they're written, what context they're given. And so we want to always look at that. Okay, why is this? What does this mean? And so in Philippians, as we close out on this, I'm gathering so much information on that Second Temple period, Ezra and Nehemiah. I believe it's going to be very insightful. I hope it'll shed light on a lot of things. We see things in Scripture. When I want us to read, I hope we can read. The apostle says, I will sing and sing with the understanding. And I want us to read Yahweh's word with the understanding, where we're just not reading it, glossing over it, and not understanding what it means, or thinking we know what it means like so many people do. That's not what we want to do here. So Philippians Chapter 4. It's like somebody said period. Somebody said that? Oh, I was like, yeah. Maybe I was just hearing that in my head. All right. Philippians chapter 4, verse 5 says, let your moderation be made known unto all men. Yahweh is at hand. That either means Yahweh is sure to come, he's close to coming, or it means Yahweh is very close to us now. Yahweh, and in both aspects, it would be true. Is Yahweh sure to come? Yes. And is he very close to us? Yes. So you want to make sure that we are showing that we are not people of rage or anger. All right. We are living epistles. And the biggest thing you can do in order to engraft people into your faith is not just your talking, but your actions and your deeds and your character and how you conduct yourself. That is the biggest form of ministry, or what's the word? Witnessing, right? It is one of the biggest forms of witnessing. There was no one that had clarity in Torah like the apostles, but they had it. And so, but the way they carried themselves was so different than other ministries. Not gonna get into all that. All right, verse 6, be careful for nothing. All right, we talked about that last week, how it just doesn't mean anxious or anxiety. All right, but the root part of it is being so overwhelmed, or allowing your attentions to be so diverted where you can't operate. But in everything by prayer and supplications. We talked about that, right? We talked about the difference between prayer and supplications. Were there any questions on that? We understand what supplication is as opposed to prayer. All right. And prayer and supplication. With thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto Elohim. Verse 7, and the peace of Elohim, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through HaMashiach Yeshua. I think that is a massive verse. Ever heard that Fred Hammond song? Philippians 4:23. Peace that passes over all your understanding. Well, his first album. I'm not singing that song. It's called Philippians 4:23, but the chorus is the peace that passes over. It's on his first album. It's like one of the last songs. Yeah. It's called Philippians 4:23. But the chorus is the peace that passes over all your understanding. It's kind of offbeat, kind of. It's not like an anthem. Wow, I can't believe I've never really heard that song. I know you haven't heard it, yeah. Don't know what that's Philippians, yeah. But it's a great, great song. He talks a lot in the song, but the song is beautiful. And so, the peace of Elohim. All right. So now Isaiah 26. And we want to look at the context because it says, I will keep you in what? Whose mind is what? All right. Let's look at that. Now, everybody be honest. Oh, yes.
I had broke the rule. I was answering the question without the microphone.
Oh, okay. You got the mic now, so.
Well, you asked he will keep you in what?
Perfect peace, right.
Whose mind is stayed on whom?
Yeah.
HaMashiach.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you for answering. Thank you. That is right. All right. And so now I want everybody to be honest. Is your mind always kept on? Okay. All right. Yes, someone can use a mic. That way they don't.
No.
No, very right. All right, that's honest, right? All right. Is that possible? Do you think? All right. How many? Yes.
Yes.
It is. All right. In this age.
I think it's possible. I just think it's difficult.
I didn't read it yet. What? In the peace of Elohim that passes all understanding will guard your heart and mind. Well, that's what we're going to read. All right. So who all read it? All right. Did we understand the context and what that verse is written? We did. All right. Let's go to it. We're going to answer the question. With the reading.
What's your question, sister?
Oh, what's your question?
Like last week or something, or like maybe 2 weeks ago, when you said it was like for the kingdom, is that for this too?
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about here.
Okay.
All right. So Isaiah 26, everybody got it. All right. And are you able to read that? All right. Verse 1.
In that day shall this song be sung in the land of Yehuda. We have a strong city.
Yes.
Salvation will Elohim appoint for walls and bulwarks.
What? Oh, yeah, it is. All right. What will, in that day, when will the song be sung? Or where?
In the land of Judah.
All right. Now, is that day now? No.
Yes,
all right. Does Yehuda have a strong city now?
No, sir.
No. All right. And Yahweh will appoint salvation. Hebrews says he will come again the second time without sin unto what?
Salvation.
Unto salvation, right. All right. Verse 2.
Open ye the gates, that the righteous nation, which keepeth the truth, may enter in.
Oh, what a beautiful thing. All right. Keep reading.
Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee.
Now. Well, let's keep reading.
Because he trusteth in thee. Trust ye in Yahweh forever, for in Yahweh Elohim is everlasting strength.
Yes. For what?
For he bringeth down them that dwell on high, The lofty city, he layeth it low. He layeth it low even to the ground. He bringeth it even to the dust. The foot shall tread it down, even the foot of the poor, and the steps of the needy. The way of the just is uprightness. Thou, O most upright, dost weigh the path of the just.
Yeah.
Yea, in the way of thy judgments, O Yahweh, have we waited for thee. The desire of our soul is to thy name, and to the remembrance of thee. With my soul I have desired thee in the night. Yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. For when thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness.
When what?
When thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness.
All right, continue.
Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness? In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of Yahweh? Yahweh, when thy hand is lifted up, they will not see thee. Yahweh, when thy hand is lifted up, they will not see, but they shall see and be ashamed for their envy at the people. Yea, the fire of thy enemies shall devour them. Yahweh will ordain peace for us, for thou also hast wrought all our works in us.
Right.
O Yahweh our Elohim, other lords or other masters beside thee have had dominion over us, but by thee only will we make mention of thy name.
Right. Verse 14.
They are dead. They shall not live. They are deceased. They shall not rise. Therefore hast thou visited and destroyed them, and made all their memory to perish.
Has that happened yet?
I'm
No.
sorry.
All right. Hasn't happened yet, has it? All right. But look at verse 9.
With my soul have I desired thee in the night. Yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. For when thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness.
So do you see where he says, with my soul or my life, right, I have what?
Desired thee.
I've desired thee in the night. So here you have someone that is really yearning and desiring for Yahweh's kingdom to come. Because he's saying in that day, shall a song be sung in Yehuda. And in that day, salvation will be appointed. Then he's saying, open the gates in verse 2, right? That the righteous nation which keepeth the truth may enter in. They're not entering in yet. Then he says, you will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee because he trusteth in thee. So when the righteous gates are open and the nations come in, will Yahweh keep them in peace at that time? That peace is actually, the word isn't perfect, but it's shalom, shalom, if you look at the Hebrew. It is very difficult to keep your mind stayed on Yahweh. But when you desire his kingdom and desire his kingdom to come and his age of righteousness, you yearn for it, and that's the type of shalom that you have when Yahweh's kingdom comes. But now we don't have it. Why? His kingdom is not here, but what else? What are some of the things that you worry about? What are some of the things that keep you from having shalom? Bills?
Safety.
Safety?
The unrighteousness of
Unrighteousness of people? Temptations? Distractions?
Health. Death.
Health? What?
Death.
Death. Debt? All these things, right? And we can't ignore it. We can't act as though if you could just turn it on and meditate on Elohim 24/7. It doesn't work like that. Yahweh's not ignorant of that at all. Yahweh doesn't. You're not trying to balance your checkbook, and Ruach HaKodesh and I say, "Hey, I'm here. Worship me now." It's not how it works. Yahweh is fully aware of our conditions, of the age we live in, and that this is not an age wherein dwelleth righteousness. But what is the saying we often say? The more you do right or want to do right, the more you will what?
Want Yahweh's kingdom to come.
You will yearn for Yahweh's kingdom. What? I just said that on the mic. The more you yearn, because it is so hard to live right in this age. And your desire for him is to desire for his kingdom. One thing have I desired, that will I seek after, the Psalms writer says. That I may what? Anyone know? Right, dwell in the house of Yahweh. That's another song. One thing have I desired. Who? Of course it's slow. It's Maverick City. But there is one. But when you desire Yahweh, even as the Psalms writer says, and it's a beautiful song as well. One day in thy courts, you desire Yahweh, and when you desire Yahweh, Yahweh protects you. That's why it says the peace of Elohim will keep your heart and mind. And so there's a protection, there's a barrier that Yahweh pulls up and Yahweh does so that we are protected. Do you think because you have something valuable and you keep it in your house, it's going to protect itself? No. Do you think your children can protect themselves? No. All right? So you have to take the means to do what? Without question, right? And by you taking the means in order to do that, therefore the children are protected. And now what happens if you do everything in your power to protect the home and they sneak out? Are they under your protection? What happens if, let's say you have a cold on door that you all can get, and only family knows the code. And let's say Orbs, she starts liking a nice young man. Right? And then Orbs says, yo, everybody be sleep around 12:30. I'm going to give you the code. Just hit the code and roll in. All right? Oh, and then Knucklehead come in and says, oh, man, I like that TV your dad got. You know? All right? Now, did you do your job? Yes. What's that? Yeah, y'all can make back there. All right. You did your job, right? But what did Orbs do? Or if Orbs sneaks out?
She didn't do her job.
She didn't do her job. And oftentimes, Yahweh guards and protects us. He guards and protects our emotions, our minds. But we are so distracted. We do things where it doesn't warrant his peace. And Yahweh very often will not, I'm trying to think of the word, supersede, if that's the right word, your bad decisions. Is that a good word to say? All right? Or will not overstep your bad decisions. A lot of times, he will let you make your choices and allow you to live with them. And oftentimes, we think that hey, it's not a sin, black and white, so it's okay to do. But that's not always the case. All things are lawful, all things are not what?
Expedient.
Now, Deke, would you ever thought to tell Orbs, don't get his cold to nobody? You would have just thought, that goes without saying. But Orbs did not value your home, your hard work. She did not value the safety of the home. And what she valued was more her own personal experiences. I'm missing out on something. Dad is a hater. You know, he don't like to do, trying to hold me back from having a good time. I need my independence. And we'd be surprised how many times we're like that. We don't appreciate the fortification that Yahweh has built for us. And it takes time for Yahweh to put you in a position, not so much where you can succeed, but that you could be in a position to hear him. And hear him doesn't mean audibly, but hear him means that you're in a position where you don't have as many distractions. You can focus in on your salvation. The unfortunate thing is not a lot of people value salvation. And Yahweh's peace, according to Scripture, is mainly enriched in his what? Starts with an S. Salvation, right? Verse 1, in that day shall a song be sung in the land of Yehuda. We have a strong city. Salvation will Elohim appoint for what?
Walls and bulwarks.
What are walls? What are walls for? Boundaries and protection. What are bulwarks? God, he needs a mic.
You ever seen in those like medieval movies, they'll have logs with sharp edges and they're kind of crossed against each other?
Yeah, where you like, it's kind of like they're trying to bang in a.
Yeah, it's put in a, nah, it's like put in a row. You know, it's X's. They're like laid up on the ground.
Uh-huh.
They're positioned in like an X, and they're like next to each other. It's like logs. It's basically used as a protection against things that are trying to invade on the ground. So if they try to pass a certain point, they'll be like kind of pointed at each other, like they kind of run into the wall and be impaled. Yeah.
Oh, all right, so it's not just a wall; it's something behind it, kind of. All right, so it's almost like putting something on the back of a door where you can't get in.
Yeah, to Brother Dre's point, bulwarks are usually used because you have soldiers or something that can easily stand up there to defend.
Okay.
So it's like a fortified wall, and they have spaces. If you've seen like the movie 300 or something, and you see they stand up there with the spears, they're standing on the bulwarks. So it's not just a wall, it's that fortified wall that is used as a means of defense.
Gotcha. So it's almost like a ridge on the wall where they can stand in and they can like shoot arrows down.
That whole structure is the bulwark. It's not just a wall like a house. Like that's a wall.
Gotcha.
But it's a fortified wall that is used as a means of defense.
Oh, yeah. Almost, for like snipers or something like that. Okay. That makes perfect sense. All right. So Yahweh's boundaries, his protection, and his defense where he can retaliate or defend his valuable possession is in his what? How does he appoint that? Through what?
His salvation.
His salvation. That's why our hearts, our minds, our desires for Elohim has to be rooted in his salvation. And when your mind is geared towards salvation, then you remain under Yahweh's protection. And that's the mindset you always want to be in. And so when the righteous nations enter in, when Yahweh returns, that is a time of just salvation for all mankind. And then at that time, that will have not just us, the world in its entirety, or the age, will experience perfect peace if their mind is what? Right. Now, will there be people when Yahweh returns whose mind will not be stayed on him? No, there won't be.
There,
right?
When he returns?
Yes.
Whose mind won't be stayed on him?
Yes.
Initially?
Period.
Yes.
Yes. Right. And everyone thinks when Yahweh's kingdom is set up, it's just going to be this joyous time. Oh, it is. It will only be a joyous time for believers. even Yisrael will, Yahweh said, I will plead with you in the wilderness. They're not going to like the outcome of things. They're going to have to be pleaded with. Yahweh's going to have to deal with them. And so to think that everyone's mind has just stayed on them. I think Todd Tribbett had a song. No, not that one. It was on the Whack album. Lord, I want you to keep me. He had a song with, yeah. And he said, yo, I'm going to be honest. In the morning, I wake up in the morning, my mind ain't on you. All right? And I thought, I was like, yo, that's real. A lot of times when you get up, your mind is not on Elohim. And it's not because you have a sinful, lustful mind. You just have so many worries. You have rent. You have bills to pay. You have children. You have school. You have education. You have to grind through this earth. And all those things falling into your desire. Your desire, what did you tell me the other day? You was looking at all the things you had to do, and you just said what? You just stood up here and said, you know what? What'd you say? I hope you say what you said and not. I don't know.
You might want to just say what she
All
said.
right. She was saying, I got to do this, I got to do that. He said, I'm just ready for Yahweh to just come right now. Right? And it's not, you're ready to, not just, was that what you was going to say? Oh. But that's why Romans says in this earth or in this tabernacle, we groan. And it's not just we groaning. Yahweh doesn't have it where you just groaning because of sin, because you're tempted all the time. But you're just tired of this age, this constant age of grinding. And that is supposed to motivate you to acquire the character for salvation. Yes.
It's easy for us to think of sin as the problem.
Right.
Because we've only lived a life where sin ruled in the age.
Yes.
But clearly, it's not the biggest problem that we have to overcome.
Right.
Because Adam and Eve, not only did they live in a time where all that they needed was provided.
Right.
They didn't have to, they were created into a completed system. They didn't have to worry about shelter, food, raiment. It wasn't something that had to be worried about. And their life still allowed sin to enter into the age.
Mm-hmm.
So sin is not the biggest obstacle that we have to overcome.
Right.
It is an obstacle, but it is not the biggest obstacle that we have to overcome.
Right.
The biggest obstacle that we face is the fact that we are absent from Yahweh's salvation. We need it right now.
Right.
Just like they needed it then. We have to be saved from this human condition.
Right.
We have to be saved from being mortal. We have to be saved from being vulnerable. We have to be saved from being created in vanity. We have to be saved from ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are our biggest obstacle. And we put so much of a focus as religious people, as believers, and as faith-filled people. We put so much emphasis on sin that we forget. Remove sin, and you still got a big problem. You still got a big something to deal with. Remove sin from the equation, and you still not altogether correct. You still don't got it all right. You still got to deal with you. So sometimes, boy, it's hard for us to reconcile that fact that it's not the devil. That's our big, it's not sin. It's you. Mm-hmm. You are your biggest obstacle and the biggest thing standing in your way from reaching Yahweh's salvation. Because he already wants to give it to you, but you have to put yourself in a position to receive it. And that's hard for us to do. Right.
So it's not how you brought up Adam and Eve, because I was thinking about this week, and I said I wasn't going to bring it because it was being like, but because you were speaking about it, so with Adam and Eve, you had the tree of life, and then you had the tree of what?
Knowledge of good and evil.
And there was always a debate about the tree of knowledge of good and evil. How did it come? Why was it there? Different things. Why wouldn't Yahweh Why would he put it there and not want them to touch it? Why? And Yahweh wasn't tempting them. Yahweh made every fruit, every green tree. It was Yahweh's creation. But why do you think he didn't want them to touch it or eat of it? Yes. Y'all ever thought about that? It's not a right or wrong, it's just your thoughts behind it. Yes.
Was it because like the timing? Like he didn't want them to experience all that at that time?
Yes. See? Right. Yahweh wasn't trying to hold them back. But when they ate it, what did Yahweh say?
Now they are become as one of us.
Right. No one good and even. It was not time for them. And when they took it, there was so much information that they were enlightened to that they didn't want to have it yet. Yes.
Real quick. Well, I think of it as like kids and phones.
Exactly.
Like a kid is not supposed to be exposed to all that so young.
Exactly.
But it's not that like a parent just don't want them to know information or they don't want them to have it.
Right.
It's just not good for you to have it at that time and all through like one thing. So like the same way with the Yahweh and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he didn't want them to all have all that. He didn't want them to have all that information at that time. It was never that he wanted to withhold something from them. It just wasn't meant for that time.
Exactly. Very good. Yeah, it is. It's I think a lot of do y'all want grandchildren? Deke? All right, shout out to Deke. All right. So eventually there's some things that your girls are gonna have to know about in order for you to have grandchildren. You don't want them to know about those things now. All right? But as they get older, they're going to have to know. And that's how Yahweh is. There's some things Yahweh wants you to know. There's some things Yahweh wants you to know about yourself. He wants you to know about Ruach HaKodesh. He wants you to know about life. Some things it's not meant for you to know. Even Yeshua told his disciples, his apostles, hey, I have a lot to say to you, but right now it's just not the time. And there were so many things that they were not supposed to know until he was resurrected. And the scripture says, every man in his own order. Hamashiach, the first fruits, and afterwards those that as is coming. And once they had the tree, they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, Yahweh was concerned. Now, all of a sudden, they have a desire for immortality. And man has a desire for immortality now, but they can't have it. And not only that, but they want immortality and they want secret knowledge. And there are traditions and there are things in ancient studies that man had a quest for certain knowledge. And tradition has it is that men were moving so rapidly. They call it the Bronze Age. We know it as the Bronze. Anybody study the Bronze Age in
They
school?
were advancing so rapid. Not, I don't want. You said moving. I didn't want anyone to think like
Right.
moving about the globe. But
Oh,
they were,
right.
advancing forward in knowledge and technology so rapidly.
Exactly. And, that's going to lead us right into this segue for Philippians. Things we take for granted, like music, fashion, clothing, romance, relationships, birth, genetics. All these things we take for granted, we think is just the norm. I wish there was a way we can kind of put in our minds, man with just a blank slate. Were you ever, anybody seen babies like when they were little, and you started seeing them grow a little bit? Were you shocked at some of the things that a child can do? And you say, man, well, how did that happen? I wish you could imagine if you can look at that context and imagine like unseen beings looking at man, because there was no being like man ever. I don't know. There's no scripture that gives any indication that angels were born and grew up. And we don't know in what way were angels made in Yahweh's image, how they were made to function, how they were meant to receive information or receive knowledge. But because Yahweh has this project, this family he's making, I can only imagine what it's like to see man at his first time, see what he reacts to, what he doesn't react to, what he knows, what he doesn't know. Well, I don't want to say this to throw none of the girls under the bus. You've seen, all right, so the first time, have you ever seen a child like another child, like a boy or a girl? How was that? Like seeing, is that like?
I remember, so my sister and I are 5 years apart.
Okay.
And so when she was in kindergarten, she had her little boy, she just told him he was her boyfriend. So she came home from school. We were riding home on the bus, so she said, "I have a boyfriend." And I said, "You got a boyfriend?" She said, "Yeah." I can't remember. I think his name was like Leroy or Levi or something with the L. Well, I mean, Leroy or Levi ain't gonna. He will never know. But she's like, "I got a boyfriend, and his name is Leroy." And I said, "Leroy." I said, "Well, how do you know he is your boyfriend?" "'Cause he's a boy and he's my friend, and so that's my boyfriend." And she was just convinced. And so all through kindergarten, this was like early in the kindergarten school year, she kept that little friendship going till they graduated. They had their little kindergarten graduation, and that's when she introduced Dad. "Dad, that's Leroy. That's my boyfriend." And so, but she just was. It was so funny to see her attach herself to Leroy, and he didn't have a choice but to go along with the program.
Oh, so he didn't have a choice.
She left him no choice.
And so that was another side that you saw your sister.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, wow. Like, it's just weird to see that. Now, can you imagine unseen beings seeing Adam, keeping his cool, naming the animals, running things? Eve's come along. It's like, look at Adam. He was so strong. He was so much in control with the animals, and now look at him. It's now awesome. So another side of Adam we're seeing. And if now, say, unseen spiritual beings see that, what do you think they would do now for all mankind? They would weaponize that. And where so much of our relationships are, I don't want to say weaponized, but we can't get to the concrete strength of a relationship because there's so much fluff around it. And there's so many things that go on. There's so much knowledge that we're just not ready for. You ever hear people say they're too young to get married? Yeah. Why? And it's almost like people would rather a young man and woman fornicate than to get married. Right? Instead of, hey, if we put them in a position where they're mature enough and then they can make sound decisions, you get married. Would it be wrong if you had two people that were young, they were financially sound and set, and they go to school while they're married? Is that wrong? Well, or we could set it up where our children can have their own homes at a young age while they're going through college, and they can build their relationship and go to school, where money wasn't the issue. Wouldn't that be great? But it just doesn't work like that. You know, money so much is involved. There's so much stress in a relationship. Most relationships, it's all the age.
The factors that work against a righteous relationship in this age are innumerable.
Right.
And couple those same factors with youth, and it just makes it difficult. So is it wrong? No.
Right.
Is it impossible? No. Is it something you should shy away from? I wouldn't go so far to say that, but I would say that Satan hates the institution of family.
Yes.
And he hates the institution of family, especially amongst believers, and he fights that every turn.
Exactly. He uses that institution to fight us, to break us up. Because there is certain information and knowledge that we should have, but we want to have it in its own time and in its own order. And Yahweh wasn't keeping Adam and Eve back from anyone, keeping his family back from any particular knowledge. But without the right character, in order to have it, then they would make shipwreck. And that's the way it is. Oftentimes we think Yahweh is trying to keep us back from something. And we don't know that we have not obtained the right character to have it. And Yahweh withholds it. But sometimes we can go and try to do it ourselves. And we can try to make things ourselves. And we haven't learned to be content. Godliness with contentment is what? Great gain. We haven't learned that. We haven't learned how to trust Yahweh in various situations. And we do things that are just not sound, because we are not invested in Yahweh's salvation. And so all these things are means and ways to distract us and disrupt our shalom. It is very hard. It is difficult. It is almost virtually impossible to keep your mind on Yahweh 24/7. But when you're paying a bill, you can learn to yearn for the age to come. And oftentimes, when I see things and I get frustrated, I'm really yearning for the age to come. It's like you were the other day. You're just tired of it all, because you know this is not what Yahweh wanted. Yahweh didn't want it where you have to go to college, graduate school, and go in debt in order to make a living. It's not what he wanted. It's not what Yahweh wanted, where you have to have a certain amount of credit in order to get a car. It's just so many things that are in this age that now has developed and is so outside the will of Yahweh. But the bad thing is we think that Yahweh has to succumb to our idea of happiness, of peace, of shalom. We think Yahweh, okay, this is my idea of happiness and peace, so Yahweh make it happen. And we have not consulted him. We have not inquired about him. We have not sought his word. That not to beat a dead horse. When we were talking about that, I was talking about it, that scripture about encouraging yourself, right? And what David did, the scripture says he encouraged himself. He strengthened himself where he could inquire about Yahweh. He was so frustrated. You ever been so frustrated about something you didn't want to pray? Something bad happened? All right, and that's what happened to David. He went out to war, they took his wife and his kids and all of them, and the men started spazzing out on David. We here fighting for you because you're supposed to be king, and they go and kidnap our whole family. And they don't know if they're dead or alive. And it really frustrated David, and he had to garner enough strength where he could pray to Yahweh. And sometimes in our most tragic and hurtful times, it is very difficult to pray to Yahweh. Anybody remember that? I know I'm dating myself. That Good Times episode. Anybody remember Good Times? Which one?
I was commenting on the dating of yourself.
Y'all probably see. Y'all remember seeing Good Times when James died? In Florida, kept dancing around it, and then when everybody left, everybody knows the saying, right? Y'all ever seen that scene? Oh, man.
Man.
Yeah, like she dropped the glass.
That ain't quite what she said.
Yeah, but she was at a point, she kept evading the issue. You know, and a lot of times, mostly we evade the issues. We don't want to deal with certain things. And we get like that with Elohim. And oftentimes we don't want to deal with ourselves. Because a lot of times Elohim will actually mirror you in your decisions. Well, David said, my sins, we were talking about that, when he said, my sins are ever before me. You said that last night, yeah. And oftentimes when you pray, Yah will bring you into your mind. This is how you got yourself in this situation. And this is how we're going to, and he might not tell you this is how we're going to get you out. But he has a plan. Will you be okay with his plan to get you out? And that's the thing. Or will you be patient and faithful and dedicated enough to see the plan through? Right? Because a lot of times we go through things, it's not an easy fix. Right? And so we have this way to be exposed to certain things, and we center our lives around it, and it makes it so we can't keep our mind focused on Yahweh because of this evil age. And then Yahweh knows this, and what Yahweh has to do is he has to guard our heart and our mind. That's why it says the peace of Elohim will guard your heart and mind. All right? But it passes your what?
Understanding.
Right, meaning you can't always make sense of it. You don't know what Yahweh's doing. And can you trust him when it doesn't make sense? And what does it mean when you have to trust Yahweh? Anybody know or have an idea what that means when it says trust Yahweh?
I like our brother's analogy last week
Yeah.
about getting in the wheelbarrow going across the lake full of alligators.
Yeah. Right, the tightrope. When you sitting there watching them, you can see him do it 100 times, and then they tell you get in, and you don't want to do it. What is it that you are not trusting about the guy in the wheelbarrow? Trying to think of the most practical term I can say it. What are you not trusting about the guy in the wheelbarrow? Yes, but it's something else. What's that? He said his ability to carry you. What if he's been carrying the same weight and you saw him do it? What are you not trusting? He'll do it again. Or, what's the other word for that? Are you trusting his consistency? Can he be consistent? Or in other words, are you trusting his what? His faithfulness. Will Yahweh be faithful? And if we trust Yahweh, will we be faithful? And that, oftentimes, that's what trusting Yahweh is, being consistent. Regardless of what happens, will the Sabbath remain a high priority? Will Yahweh's word remain a high priority? Will the believers remain a high priority? Will prayer remain a high priority? Will salvation remain a high priority? Or will it wane because of our variation and frustrations? Yahweh will save you through faithfulness. Yahweh will rescue you through faithfulness. His and whose? Yours. Can you be faithful through where Yahweh can see you through it? Well done, my good and what? Faithful or consistent servant. And so, will you allow Yahweh to be faithful to you when you don't understand it? Will you allow him to continue to guard your heart and mind? Will you like his plan? And when I say will you like his plan, let's say if someone is causing you stress. And, right, but you can't separate the ties. I'm just throwing an example out there. And that person that is causing you stress, and you might love them. You might say, hey, we have a relationship with them. And let's say if that person needs something on the Sabbath. And if they need something on the Sabbath, you say, I can't right now, it's the Sabbath. And they sever ties. That's Yahweh's way of giving you peace. Will you like that? Now, will you worry about your relationship with that person? What do y'all think? Yeah. You're going to worry about it. It might keep you up at night. It might make you anxious. Doesn't matter. It could be male, female, relative, that will, but are you peaceful in that moment? Be honest, are you? No, you're worrying. Who's at peace? Yahweh is. Because he's gotten something out of your life that's hurting you. Is he worried about you stressing? No. You ever had take something from a child and they throw a temper tantrum, but it's going to hurt the child? Are you worried about that temper tantrum? Or you be like, all right, here, take the knife. Just take it. And he said, thank you. And then they kill you and them. But you'd be surprised how what things are like that. Where, and Yahweh might not do like us. Sometimes we say, keep on, I'll give you something to cry about. No, but he'll let you throw your temper tantrum. But Yahweh is at peace because of the fact that, all right, because he was faithful to me, that's one less thing he or she's gonna have to worry about. However, do we embrace that process of faithfulness, of consistency? All right. Those are some of the things we have to ask. Those are some of the things that Yahweh works. But we just don't know how he's working behind the scenes. We don't know what he's doing, what he's orchestrating. How he's, only thing we have to do is be what? Faithful, consistent, 100%. And that is not going to be easy. All right? But that's the piece of Elohim. It will guard. It will protect. And sometimes we have to be protected from ourselves. All right? They have a rule in football where if somebody's in, if they get hit and the player wants to go back in the game, you know what they do? What they have to do? They have to take the helmet. Because the player will go in and play, not seeing straight, not being able to recognize his own name. They'll go right back in that game and get a concussion and then be laid out on the field. Y'all ever seen that? Y'all ever seen plays? They show all the time now. Players get hit and then they just laid out. All right? Because they don't care. They don't think of the long term. And so that's how we are oftentimes. We don't think of the long term. Yahweh has to really guard us. Yahweh has to protect us. That's that peace, that passive, our understanding, our logic, all right, that will guard our heart and mind. Let's look at this on that slide. The way our minds are, anyone knows what a sensory organ is? Yeah, or a sensory, anything in your body that's a sensory. Right. Your nose, your eyes, and your ears, right? And why do they call them sensory? I'm asking it like as if we didn't put this up. Why do they call them sensory?
They're the receivers of your five senses.
Yeah, yes, but it's
how you sense the world around you.
Exactly right. How you perceive the world around you. Can you perceive the world from your kidney? No. Right. All right. Or your your thyroid. I don't know. Oh man, my thyroid. I don't know what happened to here. My thyroid is just. I don't even know if I'm pointing to the right area. Where's your thyroid? It is here. Was I pointing to the right area when I did that? Okay. There you go. Right? You don't go in and say, oh, man, right? Even with your allergies, what kicks off your allergies? Your nose and your eye, right? You smell something or you taste something, and it kicks off your allergies. Because those are sensory glands, all right? And so with that being in mind, let's keep that in mind as we go through this. Let me see here. How much time I got left? So, because I'm going to wrap this up fairly quickly. Those are 3. That's an OG. Yeah, that's the OG right there. OG plus GG, right? All right. Where are we here? Okay. Let's go to this slide here. Sorry, I didn't give y'all a number. Everybody still with me? All right, let's go to Philippians 4, and what is that, 23? The peace of Elohim that passes all understanding. What is that? Okay. All right. Verse 7? Well, I'm at 23. I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe Fred's song is 4 and 7. All right. Oh, it is. Philippians 4 and 7? Jeez. Well, no wonder y'all never heard Philippians 4 and 23. All right. Look at that slide 82. All right. All right. Oh, no, we too far ahead on this one. Thank you. All right. So, 83. Y'all gonna make me call it out. All right. So you have the peace of Elohim, which passes all understandings. It will keep your hearts and minds through HaMashiach Yeshua, right? All right, next slide. That was pretty quick. I just wanted y'all to see my pictures there. All right. Now, that word, passive, all understanding. Passive means to hold oneself above, to excel, a superior. There's a passing that you might think of, maybe it's a race or a goal before, but it's Yahweh's peace that is far above or is more superior than what? If it passes all understanding, it is more superior than what? Your mind or how you perceive the world. So let me ask you, I meant to ask this for homework, but time got away, I think a couple of weeks ago. How much do you value how you view the world? Yeah. Like your wit, your knowledge, like maybe it's a New York thing, but like people from New York, we value like a certain type of street smart we have. Yes.
One thing a lot of people's pride is based off of is their knowledge. A lot of people pride themselves on knowledge and just
Right.
how well they view the world. So I guess everyone kind of has a certain level of importance to it. It may vary from person to person, but one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people value like their opinions, you know, the way they see things, and just how the way they perceive the world and how true it is.
Yeah.
It's the reason why you have a lot of cancel culture and things like that.
Right.
Or just a lot of polarity between people now. You know how the word is so divided. A lot of people appeal to someone else's perception of the world, and how sort of one-sided it is. You know, so why it's like politics are so polarizing now, because a lot of it, politicians a lot of times appeal to someone's perception of their society and things like that. So it is quite important.
That is a great way of saying that. Thank you so much. Right. It is. I don't think, and we don't realize it. That is. There's a lot of reasons why there's now cancel culture. Why people, if you have an opinion about something, people don't want to have. It's nothing to do with you. As you lean to one side, you lean to another side. It is. There are people that are very polarizing, and if you don't have an opinion about something, people are willing to cut you off for an opinion. Don't let a black person say they voted Republican. Good gracious. You know, huh? Yeah, so regardless of whatever reason, if it is. But that's because we value our position, our stance, and exactly what we know. There are a lot of people that are making millions off of their opinion or what they think they know. It doesn't have to be validated. It doesn't have to be confirmed. It doesn't have to be proved. It can just be articulated in a certain way. And Yahweh's peace supersedes that. And we all value a certain type of know-how, a certain type of wit that we have, a certain type of experience that we have gained over the years. I know what I'm doing, right? Y'all ever said that? I didn't ask you what I said. Or when you say something and somebody else will say, how you know? Y'all ever heard somebody say that? Huh? Right? Yeah, right? Because they value. Right? But, and even as parents, as older siblings, whatever, right? We all value a type of that. And it can be, I don't know if there's a word for insecure, is it? There's not a verb for that, right? Insecuring? It can make someone very insecure when they don't know, when you're in uncharted territory. And every day you live, you are in uncharted territory. You never lived that day before. That's the way Yahweh designed it. You have different experiences. You have different things. Every day is uncharted territory. And you try to take as much knowledge or data that you've gotten from the years before and bring it into the next day. And it doesn't happen that way. And Yahweh has to guard you because you just don't know. But oftentimes, the issue is you don't know what you don't know. But oftentimes, you think you know what you don't know. But you don't know because you can't predict the future. People have plans. Mike Tyson had a saying, everybody has a plan until what? Nobody ever heard that saying? Until you get punched in the mouth. All right? You go in the ring, thinking you're going to fight Mike. And you go in there, yeah, I'm going to wear him out in this round. I'm going to do this and that. You get clocked in the mouth, and you seeing stars. Your plan went right out the window. And next thing you know, the ref is standing over you, and you hear just a bell. Ding, 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 ding. Your plan went to kaputs. I know so many people who think they got it all mapped out. I got this lined up. I got that lined up. What's that?
Like the 100 Men versus the gorilla. Everybody had a plan.
Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that thing that was going online? Right? Can the 100 Men beat a gorilla? They had plans how they would come to it. But if 100 men to beat a gorilla, about 20 of them was going to probably have to take an L. The first 20. And the issue is nobody wants to be one of them. They used to have this show. I don't know if Deke, you ever watched it. They used to have this. I don't know if the channel's still out. They used to have like a man channel. It was like a channel just dedicated to knucklehead dudes, right? And they would have this show. You know, you remember that channel, D? I don't know if it's called it, but and they had this show. It would just answer knucklehead things that guys think about. And I used to watch it. I was like, yo, I always wanted to know that. It was like they had a segue. How can you fight a tiger if you ever have in the woods and you got to fight a tiger? How could you survive? And I was like, oh. And they would answer little stupid questions like that. And it was like a show. But it's a certain type of plan or value you have to know this or that. I often talk about my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law, he's like, if you ask him something, I'm telling you, he can have an answer for everything. All right? And he's helped me in a lot of things. He's like, hey, do this and that. And he ain't never had a ministry or anything. But he told me something to help the ministry, and it helped. Like immediate, and I was like, man, bro, yo, you was right on spot. He's like, he ain't arrogant with it. There's a saying in my family, ask him because he knows everything. And that's like the consensus in the family. If there's something you want to know, you call and ask him. My mother, sometimes I had doctor's appointments, and they call my brother-in-law and get him on the line. And we all like, yeah, that's who you call. Because there's a certain type of insight wisdom and experience that you have. And that's a value we all have, or we rely on some of these when we're in uncharted territory. But Yahweh's peace passes that. It's above that. But because it's above it, are we intimidated by it? Can we be secure in his plan? Can we be faithful in it? Can we trust the engineer as we're driving on the bridge? Next slide. All right? So that's what passive means. That's that word hooper or echo. The peace that passeth all understanding. This is that word understanding. Nous is the word. It passes your intellect. It passes your thought. It passes your feelings. It passes your mind. Meaning Yahweh will not worry about your feelings. He will not worry about whether you figure it out in order for you to gain salvation. He will not ask your opinion on what you think. Same way with the child. If their child is going to hurt themselves, you don't sit there and ask the child, do you know how to use a knife? If Deke has a gun in his house, and Omi gets that gun, he's not going to say, girl, you know how to use that? He's going to not think about it, right? And that's how it is. Yahweh does not think about you because you don't know. And we're so arrogant. But we oftentimes will lean to our own what? And we don't trust Yahweh. We're not consistent. Next slide. We all want to be comfortable. We all want certain plans. If salvation is not the goal, your plan will come to naught. I often ask people, how important is your salvation to you? How important? If salvation is important, the Sabbath is important. If salvation is important, Yahweh's word is important. It's the number one priority. But when it's not, then hey, it's whatever goes. I can't make salvation important for you. I can't let you I can't increase the volume. I can show you how important it is, but I can't make it important for you, right? That's something Yahweh has to do, and you have to do it along with them. All right, cardia, that's the heart. All right, so your mind or your understanding, cardia, where we get cardio from, it's thoughts and feelings as well from the middle, by analogy, the middle part, all right? So it is the middle portion it's a lot of thoughts and feelings that are involved in this verse, all right? So Yahweh's peace surpasses your heart and your mind, all right? So the things that you think of, the things that you make sense of, you have things that come about in your mind from experience, from data, from experience. Then you have certain feelings, gut feelings, spontaneous things. You have a bad feeling about certain things. You ever meet somebody? I don't know, it's something about them. Have you ever met him before? No, but it's something about him I don't like. That's the heart. That's the cardia. You go into a place, ooh, this place creepy. Why is it creepy? I just don't like it. I don't like it. All right? That's the heart. Those are your feelings. But your understanding is things that you came about to know over time. Data. You process data oftentimes with thoughts, intellect, and feelings. We have all those, right? But Yahweh's peace will not have anything to do with that. It's all a matter of his will for your salvation. Next slide. All right? I'm already. No ama, all right? That is the Greek word. It is perception or purpose or intellect or disposition. How did your mind come to the way it is? All right? It is the conclusion of your mind. So thoughts over time, data over time, how your character forms into the way you think. Have you ever seen a mean older person? How do you think they were always mean? No, they weren't. A lot of now I'm not saying they weren't always, but a lot of older people were not always mean. Huh? They came to be that way. We used to know, we used to have this lady, used to go to our church when we was a kid. This lady was about 6 feet, right? And she was real good friends with my grandmother. She loved my grandmother. We were horrified of this lady. And she would boss us around, and sometimes I'll be running around the church with all my friends, and she would say, Andre, stop that running. You're going to be coughing later on. I'd be like, man. But she was real close to my grandmother, so I had to acquiesce, right? She loved my grandmother. And we just thought she was so mean. She ended up having either a grandchild or an adopted grandchild. She was so nice to this grandchild. And I was like, how is she nice to this grandchild and mean to us? It was another side so evidently she wasn't so mean. It was something made her that way, all right? There was another lady who was friends with my mother. First time I ever got put on punishment, my mother's friend, it was like her best friend, put me on punishment. I got a bad report, and she was at the house, and she said, go in your room, and they'll do the rest of the day. I looked like my mother, like, yo. She used to be in the Army. My mother's friend used to be in the Army. My mother's friend ended up having a child. Child got away with murder, all right? And I was like, you wasn't mean to the child like you was mean to us? Because those are things, whatever in life made them that way, another child brings about another disposition or another way that they now think and perceive. Now they're not so mean anymore, all right? There are things that come about in life that make us that way, all right? I hope that's making sense, all right? So how did you become the way you are? Were you born that way? Were there things that changed your opinion about life, about people? All right, what changed your life about people? What did you go through? What did you experience? All right, so that's that piece of Elohim that keeps your heart, that passive understanding keeps your heart and your mind, all right? The way you think, the way you understand, all right? The way you have come to be. Now, a sense organ or a sensory organ is a specialized biological structure that detects specific external or what? Stimuli and converts them into neural signatures, signals that go to your brain. These organs serve as crucial interface between the body and its what? Allowing the nervous system to do what? And also what? And what? Right, so your sense of taste, your nose, your hand, what you touch, what you see, what you hear, all these things help us to not just make sense of the environment around us, but to perceive it, to understand. It helps us keep balance. All right, that's why anybody listen to things when they go to sleep? Yeah, right? All right, because it helps you to have a certain type of balance in your body, all right? Anytime you ever, have you ate anything that made you upset? Yeah, right? Because that's your taste, that's your sense of taste. It triggers the mind. There's some restaurants I could go into and it make me nauseous. But the food could be good, but sometimes I'm going to some Chinese buffets. I don't know why. Sometimes the smell just makes me a little, you too, D? Right? I don't know what it is. All right? And you just go in, the food could be good, but boy, you just walk in, ooh. You gotta get past it. I don't know what it is, right? It's just that sense of smell, but it helps keep a balance. Yeah, right? It's right. Well, see, exactly, right? These are sensory organs. These are organs that you have, things that trigger or help your brain. It sends signals to your brain. Next slide. All right. So, just as your eye is the organ that perceives the visual object of color, your mind is the organ that perceives the mental object. So this is why the scripture always speaks of the heart as a sensory organ, meaning that you perceive things by your mind. Your mind does not exist in and of itself. Everything that you think of comes from something else. You are not the author of your thoughts. They come from something. They triggered from something. They came from something. You are not a creator. You can be creative, but you are not a creator. You cannot make something out of what? Nothing. You are inspired. Even though we say we invent things, we don't invent anything. We are inspired by things, and if we invent something, that means we have to make everything about it out of thin air. We don't do that. We put things together, all right? And our mind helps us to do that. Next slide. All right. In ancient times, in the Akkadian and Sumerian texts, the word heart, libu, or in Hebrew, slave, was the central organ of intelligence, memory, emotion, and intention, but it was a metaphor. It was not a metaphor for love, but the physical place where reasoning and thinking took place. In other words, it does not exist where you can just generate a thought. All right? It is designed to receive something. Your mind is always receiving something. Always. When you go to sleep, your mind is not creating something. It is being inspired. It is generating thoughts and data that happen either throughout your lifetime or throughout the day, it's something that's going on. Your mind is meant to receive. That's what separates us from all of the other creations on this earth. And when we were talking about the unseen knows that. Angelic beings, for lack of a better term, know that. Demonic beings, for lack of a better term, know that. They all know your mind is meant to what? Receive. Your mind is a receiver. Everybody say that. Right. Or say, my mind is a what? Right. My mind is a receiver. So, if your mind is a receiver, does that mean you only receive good things? No, you also receive bad things. Sometimes do you know they're bad? You don't always know it's bad. You don't always know how bad it's going to be because you can't always predict the future, right? Or sometimes you cannot see. Everyone used to tell me, if you go into the ministry, you be a pastor, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be stressful, and things like that. And I always do, you're going to have, time. But it's nothing like I thought, and I don't think they knew how I perceived it. I think, and maybe Lady Sis can attest to this, there's a word, excuse me, and y'all heard the word bishop, right? It really comes a word means by, meaning to or scope, to see. You can see like two things at once. And when you are into Yahweh's word and Yahweh gives you certain understanding, it doesn't mean you can see into the future. Prophet does not mean you see into the future. But you are able to receive things or see things unseen-wise. Let's say if I'm a farmer and Deke is a construction worker, right? And we go in and we look at an open field. I would be looking at planting a what? Right. And Deke might be looking at what? Right, building a house or anything. And that's the type of thing. So when you inundate your mind in Yahweh's word or in Yahweh takes you to certain things, the scripture says, Shaul told Timothy that Yahweh counted me faithful to put me in this ministry. All right? And so when you're in this position, it's a type of consistency that you have to build with Yahweh. It's not always easy. But you see things. And you see how spiritual things can develop. Not like demonic attacks or anything, but you can see, okay, this is a bad decision. And you're not saying it in a way to try to discourage or anything, but you just see things, and it doesn't have to do with sin or righteousness. But you can see things that might distract, or see things that might harpen, or see things that might be troubling in the future. It doesn't mean it's going to cause you to backslide, But you can see things that might be a stumbling block and make life difficult for you to be faithful. Because the goal is for everyone to be saved, right? But you are saved because you are faithful. And so if I inundate myself in Yahweh's word, right? Because like there's a conviction I have if I'm not in Yahweh's word. Is anybody convicted when they don't read Yahweh's word? Y'all can be honest. All right. What's the level of conviction that y'all might have? Like how long do y'all have to go without being convicted? Where y'all convicted? A day? All right. So what's the level of time? Like, do you have to read like a minute, or do you have to read a verse of scripture, a chapter, or a chapter? At least a chapter. It's every day. The commandments. Yeah. Now, do y'all have like the same conviction as if you told a lie, or if you sin when you don't read Yahweh's words? It's the same conviction.
No.
Sometimes. So like that's kind of a conviction that Yahweh builds. Well, like if I don't really try to indate myself in His word, it's a strong conviction. It's like you kind of know, you got it, you know. That just happens over time, and Yahweh builds that so that way you can be able to articulate His word, and so much so where like I have to just, whether it's songs, podcasts, videos, whatever, it has to be something involving Yahweh's word. It's not just reading a chapter or anything like that, because that's a conviction, and when that happens, it's certain insight that you see spiritually, and you can see a duality of life. I hope I'm making sense. And so if we're saying something, if we say something to prevent a stumbling block, or you can see a stumbling block because someone is not faithful, and you say, boy, if we could just be faithful. And when that doesn't happen, it makes you sad, because we don't know where the potholes and traps are. But we do know it happens when we are not consistent. And we know the character that builds from faithfulness. And when we aren't faithful, I can say, oh boy, you can see where traps and pitfalls might be. When the Sabbath is not a high priority, when salvation is not a high priority. It doesn't mean, oh, you're going to be cursed with a curse. But you can see, okay, there's a character that is forming where we are not faithful. And that is very saddening to me, because one, you don't know where the attack could come. But one thing we know, it could come when we're not on our watch, when we're not faithful. And so that's the type of thing that when people say, hey, being over a congregation is hard, it's difficult, I don't think, and I'm not trying to speak for anyone, I don't know if anyone else has that type when they said, hey, things would be overwhelming at times. I don't think that's what they were speaking of, because I've never heard anybody articulate it like that. Like, yo, I think a lot of people looked at congregations as being messy. Oh, I don't want my church to be messy, things like that. That's no. We want everyone to be faithful and consistent, because that's where strength comes. And, or, like if I think me and Lady Sister is a type of way too, where if we're going to say something, it's because it's something we're seeing, and it's not something that's just come up, I see this in the spirit for you. And this is what the word of the Lord is saying. If you don't get rid of that man, you're destined to hell, the pits of hell. You will be cursed with a curse. Thus saith the word. No, it's not. No, it's constantly meditating, reading Yahweh's word, and then you have a dual meaning. So I can see something naturally in how it can convey into the spiritual. Not how we can convey where demons will open up the door. You'll lock the door, and demons will come rushing in. But there are things that can distract you where you cannot develop spiritually, where you cannot reach perfection. Because you cannot be perfect unless you are what? Consistent. And you are consistent when you are what? Faithful, right? And so, reason why I say that is because our minds are receivers. We're always influenced. And we talked about distractions and anxiety and how the scriptures, when it speaks of be anxious and careful for nothing, it is talking about exposing yourself to so many things where you are distracted. Believers have the biggest case of FOMO than anybody on this earth. No believer should have a bucket list. No believer should have a list of things they wish to accomplish before they die. That should be your goal. Is, hey, will I see his face in peace? But that doesn't happen because you go to church every Sabbath. It doesn't happen because you know the name, the holy days, or the commandments. Because Yisrael knew the holy days, the commandments, and they heard Yahweh speak. There was no discrepancy on how to pronounce the name of Elohim. But they did not value his faith. They did not value their salvation. And if salvation is not our priority, we will not be consistent. We will not be faithful. And those are the things we can see. That's the type of sight that we have because of the inundation of Yahweh's word, the faithfulness over a period of time, and how Yahweh has guarded our lives. It hasn't been easy at all in so many ways. But at the end of the day, we were consistent. Even when we were not consistent in true worship. And the thing about Abraham is, Abraham did not understand Yahweh. We'll talk about this in the next service. Oh, it took too long. He did not know Elohim in fullness and truth when he started walking with Elohim. Elohim did not appear to him under the name Yahweh. He said, I am the Most High Elohim. Walk before me, be perfect. All right? And Yahweh, he even said, by my name, I wasn't known to them at first. All right? I didn't come to them by the name Yahweh like I'm coming to Yisrael. Right? And Abraham had to learn Yahweh, but the only way he was to learn who Yahweh was is he had to be faithful, consistent. And everything Yahweh told him, he did it to the best of his ability. Even though he was wrong, Yahweh told him, do you all think he would have got that, what's her name, Keturah? Not Keturah. The concubine, if Yahweh would not have told him you're going to have a son. Y'all think he would have got that? Yeah, he could have did that a couple of times. He could have, how long him and Sarah been married? He could have done that. But the fact that Yahweh told him you're going to have a son, he went out and said, okay, let me go get this wife. This him. He was trying to do what Yahweh said. He was just trying to do it his own way. But Yahweh said, well, he's trying. And Yahweh still honored that and right. Yahweh didn't say, oh, well, you did it. Now Sarah ain't going to have no child. Right? Because he had to learn Yahweh. He had to be consistent with Yahweh. And the thing is, we have to be consistent. And so we were consistent in things that were not righteous, or not in truth. We were consistent in giving because we thought giving was a way of being right. We thought we were consistent in serving. Were we right? Was it righteousness? No. We thought it was, but it wasn't. But because we were faithful in what we thought was right, Yahweh honored us. To where now we have a better understanding. If we weren't faithful in doing what we didn't know was right, how much more would we be faithful in doing what is right? And some people are faithful. They are the way they are in Sunday, and they that way in the Sabbath. Some people are not faithful because of their love of Elohim. That's just their character. They want to be dedicated to something. All right? But when it's Yahweh, you have to go above and beyond. Our minds are receivers. Our minds are meant to gain understanding. Our minds are meant to be influenced. And if I am able to see through Yahweh's word, through an inundation, drowning myself, smothering myself, my family, in conversations about Elohim. A lot of times, they're ready to go during these sessions because I done talked their ear off at home. And so I'm saying stuff new here that they done heard 50 times. And so they're like, we heard it all before. And everybody else is like, oh, that's interesting. But they're like, again? And so a lot of times they might check out because they heard it. Because it's an inundation. I drown my wife. Our pillow talk is Bible talk. That's a shame, isn't it? It's not a shame, but it's crazy. Right? That's pillow talk. Man, I was reading something today. We're going to restaurants. Let me tell you about this, what I found out. And all the time, we have made decisions to be faithful, and it hurt us, right? Because we weren't faithful in what was right. But we thought it was faithful. We thought we was in what was right. But a lot of times it wasn't. The act wasn't right. But Yahweh saw our what? Faithfulness. And it gives us a certain insight, right? Not seeing spiritual, I'm really over-talking this. I hope I'm not over-talking this. But not seeing things like prophetic. But it's a dual vision where you can see the natural and the spiritual. You know how the scripture first comes the natural and the spiritual? Well, we can see things at the same time. The natural and the spiritual. Not seeing demonic and angelic beings, but you can see how natural things can affect your spiritual walk. There are natural things you can do that can affect your spiritual walk. Is the internet a sin? They will. No, go ahead.
Forgive me for interrupting because what you're saying is so important. I just wanted to double down on this point. What you do naturally will 100% affect your spiritual walk.
Yes.
It's not a can, as if it could be not. It is without a doubt 100%, 10 toes down. It will affect your spiritual walk.
Yes. 100, good, bad, or indifferent. It will affect you positively or it'll affect you negatively. There's no in between. That's why keeping the Sabbath is so hard. Because we want to be righteous on the Sabbath, but carnal all other 6 days. Okay, now let me turn the TV off. Where we should have turned the TV off probably Tuesday or Thursday. Maybe Monday or Wednesday. Let me just eliminate some of my TV watch and get into my word a little bit. But when the Sabbath comes, then we want to make the kids holy. No TV, children. We're all going to listen to church music. And then the Sabbath, that's when it becomes a burden. It don't become a burden because of the Sabbath. You make it a burden, not Yahweh. Right?
I hate to belabor this talk anymore, so forgive me in advance. But we had a conversation recently about, we were reminiscing about the children being little.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how it was so important for us to have a tight structure in our home.
Right.
7 days a week. The children had a bedtime. The children had quiet time. We would get the children home from work, and for 30 minutes, okay, this is our 30-minute quiet time. And some of it, a lot of it was, Mom just needed to transition her mind from the hustle of work, getting home, picking up the kids from whatever after school, and getting that evening activity started, homework, dinner, etc. So they had 30 minutes of quiet time, and it was to make sure that they weren't bouncing off the walls, they weren't inundating me with 1,000 questions, it wasn't in front of the TV. You can read, you can color, but this is 30 minutes of quiet. And we saw that in them at 5, 6, 7, 8, that we were doing these things with them at 5, 6, 7, 8. So when it came time to sit for a few hours in church, they weren't ants in their pants, can't sit still, because they knew what sitting still and being quiet without TV, without tablet was at home.
Right.
So when it was coming time to do certain things in church, it was par for the course. It was
Right.
something that they knew. When it came to Friday nights, the children had more freedom on Friday nights when we had church than on Friday nights when we didn't. If there was a Friday night, because we were used to Friday night services,
Right.
they had a break if it was a service, because if they were home, the moment dinner was done, the Bibles were open, the whiteboard was out, and we was hours in front of that whiteboard teaching them.
You know what else we used to have? We used to have family Bible studies on weeknights.
We used to have family Bible studies on. We had a
Weeknights.
Wednesday night family Bible study. We had morning devotion.
Yep.
We got to the point they got a little older. We would print out before they go to school a scripture, a little thought. Let's talk about our day, and then we're gonna
when they got older, we made them start doing it.
Absolutely.
Right.
We sat at the dinner table every night. And these are things, it was structure.
Right.
And I say all that to say this. Everything Yahweh requires of us requires structure. So if we freestyling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when the Shabbat comes around and there's so much structure around the Sabbath, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like I don't fit. You're going to feel like this isn't for me. Because if we're going to freestyle the other days of the week, to be regimented on the Sabbath, it's going to feel bland. It's going to be like, I don't want to do this. This is boring. This is for the birds, because you don't have structure every day.
Right.
In the same way we did it for our children when they were growing up, we have to do it for us even today. There's certain structure we have for our individually as believers. This goes beyond our household. This is across the board. We being a called out one and developing the character that's needed. We talk about what that character is, and I think sometimes we think about it very high level about, I want to have a character of love, and I want to have a character of meekness and humbleness, and those are absolutely character traits that you desire, but you better desire a character of structure. Yahweh is not a freestyle Elohim. He is an austere Elohim. If he gave Noah specific instructions on how to build an ark, you got to know he's going to give specific instructions on how to live life according to his terms. Look at the children of Israel were coming out of Egypt with nothing but what they were able to steal, or I shouldn't say steal, were able to spoil from the Egyptians. They were gifted these things from the Egyptians to leave. They didn't come out with their own inheritance, and then they came out with only what they were able to spoil from the Egyptians. And Yahweh required, colors, specific woods, specific golds, covering. There was so much structure that Yahweh required for the tabernacle. In the wilderness, you're in the middle of you're in the wilderness, the uninhabited the wilderness, and Yahweh is requiring, I need cubits of this and cubits this way. I need gold covering this. I need scarlet covering that. I need blue here. I need purple there. I need the priestly garments to be this. In the middle of the wilderness. How much more when his kingdom comes, how much more structure is there going to be when his kingdom is here than it is in the middle of a wilderness? So we got to be able to be comfortable in the structure. And we got to start small with what we do in our everyday life. And that structure in your everyday life will help you to develop a love and a desire for the structure that will be for Yahweh's kingdom.
Yahweh is the Elohim of order. So let me give you an example. When did Yahweh make water? Right. And the scripture says his spirit moved upon the what? Right. And so it was the deep what? When was water created? So when was it created? When was the land created? Right. So when did he create the land? So a lot of Genesis 1 is not about creation. It's about order. Yahweh is bringing order to his creation so that he can inhabit it. And once order is established, then Yahweh comes in and he makes it a sacred space. That's what the Sabbath is about. In the same way, when Yahweh created the temple, right? Did Yahweh create the artifacts for the temple? No, they had to take what was already there and they made the temple. And once it was erected, then Yahweh came in. And so there's a lot of order, Torah. And Torah are instructions to bring about order. It is instructions to alleviate chaos. If you are fascinated with this world, you're not getting in. It would be too boring. You won't like Yahweh's kingdom. You won't like the order. You won't like making people be order. Why would Yahweh let you in? And that's the fascinating. That's why the Sabbath is so important, because it is a way where you are bringing Yahweh's order into your life. Can an unholy people keep something holy? So was Yisrael holy? Scripture, stay in the book. Yes. Holy doesn't always mean righteous. Now, Yahweh's Holy Spirit is righteous, but if something's holy, it doesn't mean it's righteous. Yisrael was a holy nation. They were a special nation because they were the only nation to receive Yahweh's word. Nobody else could receive it. And he made them a holy nation so they can keep the Sabbath, well, not because, but so they can receive the things of Yahweh. He separated them. He separated them from all the world. That made them holy, special, unique. He gave them instructions he didn't give to anybody else. That made them special, holy, unique. All right? It didn't make them righteous. Now, if they would have obeyed what is holy, they would have became righteous. But they were supposed to be a royal priesthood, meaning they were supposed to handle holy things. We are a royal priesthood. We are supposed to handle holy things. And Yahweh separates us so that we can, so Yisrael was holy. I'm not going to forget that. Yisrael was holy, and Yahweh told them, remember the Sabbath day to keep it what? How can they keep the Sabbath holy if they didn't know what holy was? And so when we are holy, we can't just be holy on the Sabbath. We got to be holy throughout the entire day of the week. And what that means oftentimes is being intentional about what we receive in our minds, what we are influenced by. And Yahweh guards it so that we can remain holy, same way he guarded Israel. He guards our heart and mind. But the thing is, will we let something in that Yahweh's trying to guard? Will we give somebody else the code to our mind? And they walk in and they steal something that is valuable. Or will we leave Yahweh's protection? He's protected our mind, and we just, how do we do it? By sitting? No. We do it by doing things our way that have nothing to do with salvation. If salvation is not paramount, the Sabbath will not be paramount. It will not be a priority. Our own lives will be a priority. If the Sabbath is not a priority, don't even worry about when they was doing the thing. DP said, man, I'm going to just buy it. Right? I'm just saying where y'all would know it, you know. And that's what it's like with the Sabbath. If the Sabbath is not a delight, the kingdom won't be a delight. If the Sabbath is boring, if the Sabbath is like, here we go again, I got to do this. That's why you delight yourself in Yahweh. Delighting yourself in Yahweh does not mean keeping the Sabbath. Delighting yourself in Yahweh means that the things that Yahweh desires, you are happy with. You delight yourself in that. You delight yourself in Yahweh 6-7 days a week. The reason why the Sabbath is so important and so special is because you spend every day, you should want to read Yahweh's word. Some days you just don't have the time. It's so stressful. I got to go to bed, I'm tired. Finally on the Sabbath, man, I get to unwind and I get to shut everything off. I've been trying to shut everything off all week. All right? I didn't get to see the believers. There's not a day that goes by I don't think of a believer. And not a day goes by. Prayer for a believer by name. And finally on the Sabbath, I get to finally see everybody. I hope everybody had a good week. Deep been on my mind all week. I wondered how his week was going, but I didn't know his schedule. But he been on my mind. I was hoping everything worked out for him. And finally, Sabbath, man, I got to see him. All right? That's how it should be with believers. We should be racing to get here. We should be racing to get here, racing to be with one another. Because that's how Yahweh guards. We are all priests. We are all protectors of sacred space. What is the sacred space? Us. Our minds, our heart, our emotions. Yahweh protects, he guards, and he allows his presence to come in. But when we compromise that with all these other distractions, does it mean sin? No, it just means distractions. Everything else. And when you get into Yahweh's kingdom with all that order and structure, you think you're going to be a wild man? Not in Yahweh's government, all right? Our minds are receivers, all right? What's the next slide? I hope that's all I like to say that. Intellect or mind, timu is the Hebrew word, is connected. Yeah, y'all think stuff is not intentional. It is connected to how one processes sensory inputs, and physical head trauma was clinically observed to cause a loss of reason. In essence, that we don't know how much things go on in our physical brain that affects the way we think, because our minds are receivers. The same way we don't understand how much happens in our natural life that affects our spiritual life, our inner man. We are all receivers. We can receive by this, and we can receive and perceive by this, by your mind. And that's why I said it's not always first is the natural and then the spiritual. It is a duality. Yahweh did that, first is natural and then spiritual. We have to be able to see them both. Shaul said, if I sow into you natural things, if I sow into you spiritual things, shall I not receive natural? So that's a duality that we could see. That's what Nabi means, inspiration. That's what prophet means. That's what bishop means, a dual side, a dual understanding. I could see things, multiple things. Doesn't mean like overseeing or all that. It just means a dual vision, right? A double-minded man is what? Unstable in all his ways. Double mind does not mean indecisive. Double mind means you have two minds. You have a way to think on Sabbath, but 6 days, you got a whole nother way. Oh, I got to get mine. Oh, I got to get this, or I got to do this, I got to do that. But Sabbath is totally different. Next slide. I think this is the next one, right? Last one. Rather than treating the mind as an abstract entity, ancient people viewed consciousness as something constructed through interaction with physical sensory world, meaning that the mind and consciousness came about from our interaction in the world. And that's how minds, thoughts, data, processing, it's not inventive. A baby does not come out with thoughts. Baby doesn't come out, 2 + 2 is 4. Oh, look at mom's eyes. How beautiful are they? That beautiful brown eyes mom has. Look at dad's beard. It is lined up. Or it was one old show where the kid was born. He looked at his dad in the security guard outfit, and the little baby was like, man, we poor. Oh, it was years ago. But yeah, you see like the AI babies now. They got AI babies come out, oh man, my dad a deadbeat. Kids don't come out thinking like that. They haven't perceived the world. They haven't understood the world. And they're all, from the time a child is conceived, or even a little bit after, it is the most time their minds are processing. Things you do when a baby is in the womb is effective. You're affected by it. Speeches, music, thoughts. The way a mom that is pregnant has to be sure she doesn't attract negative energy, right? Have people around that disrupt it, because it will disrupt the baby. That's how our minds are. Our minds are receivers. A child's mind, a babe's mind is receiving the whole time when they're in the womb once the brain starts forming. That's what our mind is. All right? It interacts with the physical world, and that's how it generates thoughts. If it interacts with the physical world and generates thoughts, we have to what? What's the next one? I think this is it. Are we intentional about our influence? Are we guarding the things that influence us? Everything you experience will have an effect on you some kind of way or another. Everything. Everything. Nothing is everything, but everything is what? Something. Nothing is everything, but everything is something. Every commercial, every TikTok, every text, every phone call, every job, every letter you read, every note that you hear, it has an effect. Your brain is storing everything. You'll forget nothing, you just can't recall it. Your brain stores every second of your life. Your brain has a memory card, and you just can't recall it. You can't remember everything that happens, but your brain remembers every single thing that happens from the time you are conceived. And when judgment time comes, Yahweh pulls that video up, takes that memory out, and judges you on it. That's evidence for judgment. Your experiences. You had the opportunity to do something different, and you didn't. I didn't sin. No, but you didn't do right. You didn't value salvation. Oh, what? How? Because when you could have got rid of that person, you kept them around. You could have been here on Sabbath, you decided to go there. You could have done this, and you decided to do that. Are we intentional about the people, things, experience, and things that event us? Why? Because Yahweh is guarding your heart and mind. You can't let something in that does not deserve to be there. It is like giving somebody the code to the safe. And your mind is the safe. All right? Any questions about that? Oh, I dragged that. All right. Homework. On the back end there are Philippians, right? Whatsoever things are. Yeah. How many things are there? Does anybody ever count them? All right. What I want each of us to do is 9. All right. I want each of us to take one of those things and, all right, think about something that is one of those. Who wants to take one, pull one up, and then have it think about that?
If I read it?
Yeah.
So that we can be easier to pick. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true.
All right.
Whatsoever things are. Oh, you want?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Whatsoever things are honest. Whatsoever things are just. Whatsoever things are pure. Whatsoever things are lovely. Whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things.
All right. So, what I would like is someone to take one of those and over the weekend and maybe discuss one of those. So each person can take one that's here, and then we'll leave. If it's allowed, we'll leave it.
That would be great. What I can do to make it simpler, Pastor, I can write them all down, and we can pick from them when we break in the best.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll break, and then we can decide. Okay, I'm going to take virtue, right? And then I'm going to look at that. What things are virtuous, and that how my thoughts on that. I hope I'm making the assignment pretty. If it's whatsoever things are true. So if you take that as a kind, okay, my assignment is going to be things that are true. What I would like for you to do is next week come back and just expound on what things that you think on are true, that you can think on, meditate on, get your mind off of distractions and only focus on what's true. What's true in your life? What's true and authentic in Yahweh's word? What is true and authentic that I possibly could do? You don't have to tell your business, but try to think on that subject matter and be able to just speak to the believers, not get up and oratate, but just have something to say. You won't even have to get up, but just we'll pass the mic around and then say, hey, this is what my thoughts on this. Things are the true. These are my thoughts on this. You can write them down. You can bring them back. You don't have to write them down, but just have something to say to us as a family about something that is good report. Good report means good news. All right. Good news we can share with one another, whether it be a testimony, whether it be, hey, I had this or I had that. You know, or you could think of other believers. Hey, think of, I hope this person is doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well. That's good news. You know, I would, John, I think says, I would that your soul prosper, above all prosper and be in good health. All right, so we can assign those, or we can pick those, and then we can let us know how we're going to divvy those up come next week. All right? Is that a little clearer? I told you, I'm a very poor communicator and things if I gotta, but thank Yahweh for all things. Any questions about anything else? Josh Hart, that all day. That was the big old Josh Hart. Oh, sorry, Gigi, baby. I tried. All right. All right. Anything else? All right. We'll break for a little bit. I did try to make this pretty quick. I got a little carried away. I'm sorry. Y'all been coming. All right. Not too much. Thank y'all for all things. Let us again remember Maury Wilkins in prayer, Maury Davis in prayer, and the loss of his father. Continue to remember one another. That Yahweh continue to be our strength, our hope, our joy. Thank Yahweh for all things. We also want to, I don't know if we say happy birthday to our godson, Brother Shannon. Happy birthday to him. And also happy birthday to young Noah. Happy birthday to him. Yes, happy birthday to both of them. Thank Yahweh for all things. Father, we thank you for all things. Please be our strength like no other. Equip us, Eternal Father, where we can overcome this age and the victory that is ours, that is through our faith. Help us to be faithful. Help us to be good and faithful, Eternal Father. That we may see your face in shalom, that you will grant us access to the age to come, that we will be able to usher in the righteous nation as you build walls and bulwarks through your salvation. Thank you for all things. Thank you for your peace that you protect us with, that you keep us with, not just our sanity, but our soundness, our resolve, our reasoning, our desires as we desire to be with you, O King of glory. We thank you for all things. Remember everyone that is on the way. Remember us and keep us. Eternal Father, let your strength be with us. In the name of Yeshua, the Elohim of the blessed hope, he that is only immortal, dwelling in lights. Thank you, Yahweh, for all things. Everyone say, so let it be. All right, let's break real quick. God, give thanks for the food and all. We thank you, Elohim, for the food and provisions that you have made for us in all things. Thank you. In the name of Yeshua, we say, so let it be.